Yeah, Stijn, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this great audience that I hardly can see, but hopefully you can see me. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. It's fantastic, of course, that you can be here together now after the 3 difficult years, and now you can be together. And then they invite somebody, a CFO with the title Chief Failure Officer. What is behind that one? Well, actually, you ended, Stijn, with the remark about people have mixed feelings about data centers. And I will say a little bit about complexity of the world in general, because this is just one aspect of the complex world that you're working for. But I will just do a small opening. Today there are many more important people. We have fantastic panels with experts who know a lot about your industry, about infrastructure for the society of the future. And we will see people who talk about what's happening, what's going to happen, trend watching. Actually, I do not so like the word trend watching. Just watch something is not so interesting. I prefer the word trend matching. It's just turning upside down the W and you get an M. And that's what it's all about. How can we deal with this complex world with all these different stakeholders, with all these new developments? And like I said, the world is complex. And just a small remark about things that are complex and things that are complicated. On the right-hand side, you see a complicated system, which is a Swiss watch. And now, it's very complicated, but you have to spend time to start to understand the thing. But if you do, you master it, you control it, you can predict it. And predictable behavior is quite important for the watch. If you see the other side, then you see a city. And a city is more or less a combination of coupled systems. It's the physical system, the infrastructure, buildings. It's the social system, people working, living together. It's the economic system. And it is also the virtual system, the digital system that you are responsible for. And it's the coupling of all those systems that at the end of the day determines our society, our cities. So in one of these buildings, somebody could just have broken his arm because he stumbled over a threshold, because he was looking at his smartphone, seeing an app by his girlfriend who told him that she's breaking up because he cheated on her yesterday. Now, can happen. Can you predict this? When and where it will happen? No, of course not. Now, that's complexity. And sometimes people are not completely clear what is what. Here you see, for instance, a car manufacturer. I visited one and they build to order. First you get the Mitsubishi Colt, then you get the Mini. And yeah, if they make a mistake in the production process, you get a Colt with a mini door, and that's not what you want. So this is fully controlled and predictable. Already hours beforehand, you know that at that particular time, you will have a blue Colt with an automatic gear and a sunroof. So this is a good example of a complicated system, you would think, until this happens. And then it turned out that some of the components you want to build in your car are on this ship. And then you understand, hey, wait a minute, all of us, we are part of this complex world, this complex, dynamic world. And look at all the crises that we have experienced in the past, are still experiencing. The world is never the same. And what you see, and that's also where we have this discussion about the interaction between the industry of the data, of the digital infrastructure, and the rest of society. People start talking about things like climate. They start talking about things like the political discussions, all those things that happen. And so if you want to prepare for the future, you have to do this analysis. You not just only look at what is happening technologically speaking, but also what's happening in society. Also very well known are the Sustainable Development Goals. Everything is being used in the right way, in a less right way, but at least people want to convince other people they want to get what they want. And that's understandable, but it means that you cannot just operate in splendid isolation. You're part of the world, you're part of a society, and everyone in society has their own perspective. And to be able to deal with all of this, you every now and then have to reinvent yourself. You have to reinvent your approach, you have to reinvent the way you deal with other stakeholders, which means you have to be creative. And people often ask me, Paul, is it possible to measure how creative we are? And the good news here is it is possible. It is possible. And so what is creativity? Well, creativity, formally speaking, people say it's the ability for multi-paradigmatic thinking, okay? What does it mean? You can look at the same problem from different perspectives, and then you see possibly different solutions. Now, how can you increase or how can you measure the skills to build in multiple perspective thinking? Well, there are two ways in which you can achieve this, and this is a very human approach, and I hope you will apply it in the rest of this day and later on. And the first way of getting access to new perspectives is to ask questions. Not a question of what's the time, but the question is what do you think about this? And what would happen if? And what could we do together? Why is it like this? If you ask that type of questions, you get new insights, and with these new insights, combined with your own experience, you can make new decisions. Another way of increasing your creative ability, your improvising problem-solving skills, is by making new connections. Combine your information with information for other places. And a human process where that takes place is humor. Think about it. When do you laugh? You laugh at the moment, at the clue, when new information comes in that you did not expect. And why didn't you expect it? Because it is impossible, illogical, inappropriate, depends on your sense of humor, and then you start to laugh. Okay, now take these two things, the number of times you ask a question during a day and multiply it with the number of times you laugh during a day, you get a phenomenon, it's called the creativity index. And this thing is being seriously researched, amongst others by Jort Land, and he, for instance, looked at how this creativity score is developing as a function of age. And here you see the result. Actually, it says that if it gets a score of 98 for 4-year-old children, it goes all the way down to 2 for 44-year-old people. And they call this the state of terminal seriousness. You become terminal serious. So if you really want to engage with each other and with society, don't become terminal serious. You don't ask questions anymore. You are not open for humor, for connections. Some interesting remarks. After your pension, this thing goes up again. That's the nice future in front of you. And also very interesting, in the beginning, it goes down very steeply. Any idea what's the cause of this descent? School. Exactly, school skill creativity. Actually, my wife is a school teacher, so sometimes I come at home, I say, hey honey, I made money today repairing what you destroyed. Yeah? And we're married for 29 years, it's okay. A few other things about these numbers. Green is the number of times people ask a question during a day. It goes from 65 to 6. So please ask questions today and later on, but also today in the panels and the breakout sessions, in the networking time, do that. But also ask questions later on. Ask questions to people who have also an opinion about, for instance, the work that you are doing, about your industry. Ask questions. Why are you saying this? What could we do together? How could we work together to create a world that we both like? And so that's green. And 113 is the number of times people laugh during a day. Goes all the way down from 113 to 11. And indeed, recent British research has shown that adult people, on average, laugh about 11 times a day. And then you should be happy it was not German research. Anyway, so we should really start building on this creativity to make, to build meaningful and positive engagement with society, with each other. And why is this so important? Because we need all these different perspectives. It's the story of the elephant. If you ask 6 blindfolded people to touch an elephant and ask them what it is, you get very strange answers. But when they combine their answers, then the elephant will, as we say in complexity theory, it will emerge. And a lot of the problems and the topics you're dealing with in your industry are elephants. And you can only find the right way forward, you can only find the right solutions if you combine different perspectives. From a technological point of view, from a financial point of view, from a sustainability point of view. At the end of the day, you can only be successful if you're able to integrate these different perspectives to create the elephant. And that is what an organization, what makes an organization intelligent. It's also what makes us intelligent. Why are we intelligent? Because we have brain cells, but more importantly, they are connected. We can create these conducting patterns in our brain, and by doing so, we can do pattern recognition, which is the basis of intelligence. You can also do that in and between organizations, between people, make connections. That's very important. And summarizing, if you look at all the topics, all the challenges, all the opportunities that we see in a sector like the digital infrastructure, you have to appreciate that it is a significant part, a very important part of our complex dynamic society, which means that we have to deal with others. And the skill to deal with others is very important. So I hope to learn today more about how people look at this thing of how to connect and how to create meaningful dialogue with all the stakeholders around the data centers that we talk about and other elements of the data infrastructure. We have to deal with change, we have to deal with uncertainty. Actually, we have to deal with reality. And I want to say a little bit about reality, because quite often, also at conferences like this, and I've seen many of them, people talk about the great things we're doing, the great achievements. Actually, it looks like we live our lives hopping from one highlight to the other one. Look at the average CV. Well, a couple of months ago, I was at Tenerife with my family, including my daughter Miriam. She's 23 years old, and Miriam has a deformation on her right hand. It's called a telephone. And the whole day she's taking pictures, and she put them using your infrastructure on the media, Facebook, Snapchat, TikTok, Insta. Please don't say Instagram, I've learned, otherwise you tell people how old you are. But one day she was not doing that, and I looked at it, it was a Thursday, and I said, hey, Miriam, I see you don't take so many pictures. No, but it's useless today. It's useless today? Yeah, of course, Daddy, you can see it yourself, it's clouded. Yeah? It's even starting to rain. I said, okay, but it's an iPhone, it also works when it is clouded. Yes, but it's useless. You don't think that I am going to publish pictures with clouds when I am on holidays at Tenerife? I'm a loser. I will use the pictures from yesterday. Okay. And it is true. It's true. If you look at pictures on the internet, wherever you look, companies, social media, whatever you want, and look at pictures that have been taken outdoor, structurally, you will see 40% less clouds than the weather apps predict. And why are we doing that? Is the rest not worthwhile? Are we ashamed for who we really are? Are we ashamed for what you are really doing? You do your best to add value to society, you do your best to add value to your family, or whatever you do. We do our best. And that should be the starting point for our dialogue. We do our best to do something meaningful. And if people believe that, then you can have a better relationship. And I want to do an experiment with you. And yes, I'm the Chief Failure Officer, so experiments can fail, but let's see whether that works today. We're going to use the Mentimeter. So now you're allowed to use your phone, and you can scan this QR code, and if you are not able to do so, you can also go to menti.com and type in a code, and the code today is 37541734, so 37541734. And if you do that, you will end up at a page with a question. And gentlemen in the back, can you please shift to the Mentimeter? Yeah, thank you very much. And the question is, describe in maximum 3 words your most recent failure. And it can be something of today, yesterday, a few days ago, something big, something small, at home, at work, sports, holidays, I don't care. At least something you tried to do, but it didn't work. And here you see a lot of things. I'm being late, I was not myself, getting late to bed, forgot my business cards, took the wrong exit, broke a glass, overcooked a steak, forgot the kids' shoes, getting a gap. Last week I was in Norway, and it happens there more than in our part of Europe, and the first one I said was my marriage. But here's something that comes close. I failed, got married. I booked a bad hotel. I crashed into the wall, I was not able to say no. And you see, many things can go wrong. And now I prepared myself, thought, oh, this would be a great day with great people. Now look this, you're just a bunch of losers. Or is this normal? We are busy the whole day, we do things, and every now and then things go wrong, and not necessarily very complex things. And we accept that. You're now not looking around thinking, hey, what kind of inferior type of industry is this? These are normal people, and people who try to do something every day and the whole day on, and sometimes something goes wrong, and we accept that. The point is, why don't we accept things going wrong that are much more complex than most of the things that are on this slide. That is what I want to help you with, to understand that people who try, who work in a complex environment, it's very difficult. They try to do their best. Even they might fail. And is that a reason to not talk each other anymore? Is that a reason to blame each other? No, it's a reason to learn with each other. Can you please go back to the presentation? Yeah, thank you. So I will end. So we want to avoid, of course, failure. And what you see quite a lot of people, we're now still at the beginning of the year, people have a lot of plans. I have seen many plans in my life, many of them, and I've never seen one single plan that delivered exactly the way it was predicted on paper. That's something we should accept in this complex world that we live in. That is not something that we should only accept, but everyone. And we should accept it from everyone itself. So I think we should really be careful with all these project plans, and especially when it's about technology. You are in the area of technology. I've seen many people investing a lot in technology. We will have a panel in a minute about investing in infrastructure. A lot of money is spent, and very often I see that people still are somewhat disappointed, either in the result or in the way to the result. And why is that? That's because of this formula. And this formula says NT plus OO equals EOO. What does it mean? It stands for new technology in an old organization gives you an expensive old organization. And I really hope that this conference will help you to avoid becoming an expensive old industry. Well, it's not an old industry. Of course, it's a very new industry, but it's already there for quite some time. If you work together, if you have a dialogue with your environment, if you not just put your eyes on the technological aspects of your work, but also on the social aspects, the societal aspects, I'm pretty sure that this industry will further develop and help society to grow, to be successful, and to be a better place. So, thank you very much for inviting me to give this very short keynote. The surprise is that I'm also the chairman of today, for one reason or another. They don't know who they asked, but anyway, I will do my best. So I really would like to say thank you for your attention and move to the real content of today. And that is a panel. We will have a morning session. The morning session consists out of a panel of 25 minutes. We will have 3 very short keynotes, about 10 minutes. And then we will have a closing panel of, again, 25 minutes. So we hope to end up somewhere around 12:15. Otherwise, there's no time for the lunch. So let's not waste any more time.